morning, everyone. How are you doing this morning? I'm blessed. Are you blessed? Fantastic. What a week, huh? I mean, what a week. I had kids at my house all week long. I mean, there were kids at my house that I haven't seen in months. They were there all week long. But they had a good time. They had a good time. I am blessed. I am blessed. Let's get started, Laura, shall we? I want to hear y'all sing with me, okay? Blessed be your name, in the land that is plentiful, with streams of abundance flow. Blessed be your name. Blessed be your name, when abound in the desert place, though walk through the wilderness. Blessed be your name. Every blessing you pour out, I'll turn back to praise. And when the darkness closes in, Lord, still I will say, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Blessed be your name, when the sun's shining down on me, when the world's all as it should be. Blessed be your name. Blessed be your name, on the road marked with suffering. There's pain in the offering. Blessed be your name. 'Cause every blessing you pour out, I'll turn back to praise. And when the darkness closes in, Lord, still I will say, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. You give and take away. You give and take away. My heart will choose to say, Lord, blessed be your name. You give and take away. You give and take away. My heart will choose to say, Lord, blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name.
Jeff looked at me and I was like, oh yeah, that's me. I'm supposed to get up and say good morning, everyone. So glad that you're here with us today. For those who are joining us via our YouTube or Facebook live stream, we're glad you're here with us. I saw Julie up in Colorado. Honey, I wish we had a smell-o-vision because we've got the wafting of chili coming on through the sanctuary, and we will be having a chili cook-off contest here right after the service. So we hope you'll stay and join us for that. I think we have 9 different chilies for you to sample. So there'll be plenty of food for everyone. Grateful to have our sound system back again this week. And yes, even in the ice, I managed to get somebody here on Friday, and he managed to figure out what was happening. So we are blessed. And I loved the icy weather because I don't have any children in my house anymore. And it was a lovely, quiet week at home. So I hope, however your week unfolded, you are energized and ready to go on this beautiful sunny day here. Oh, look at there is Audrey. So good to see you. Yay! We are blessed. We are blessed to be together. We are blessed to experience this opportunity today to to know God, to understand God, and to be the expression of God here in our community. So we'll continue on here. We're going to sing another song as we get our hearts and our minds warmed up to this experience.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's open our hearts up. Let's use this time to kind of dig in. Let the things of this past week and the world and the things that weigh so heavy on our mind, let's release those things. Let's release those things right now. We're going to move into this time of worship where we just focus on you, Lord. We focus on you. Here we go. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. The eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Do that again. Open the eyes of my heart. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes. And open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. And open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Sing that again. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you.
Good morning. I'm Mary, and I'm on the care team, and this is Sue, and she's also on the care team. Our daily word for today is healing. My faith is making me well.
And it is. Unity co-founder Myrtle Fillmore's healing journey began when she changed her mind. Inspired by the words of a healing practitioner, she took this affirmation to heart. I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. After 2 years of persistent health affirmating meditation, prayer, and practice, Myrtle was healed. Her faith made her well. Myrtle Fillmore lived joyously and vigorously for many years. I take inspiration from this story. I too am a living expression of God. I feel my body's quickening response as I claim my inheritance of divine life, vibrantly active in every cell of my body. Good nutrition, exercise, and rest support my healing practice. My faith is making me well.
And from Mark 5:34, he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease."
Have our healing prayer. I would remind you that these care team members are available for 20 minutes after each service to support you in one-on-one prayer in our prayer room, which is just right here to my right. And we also invite you and encourage you to fill out a prayer request. We take these, we hold them in that light of God's love and healing and awareness, whatever the situation might be, and we also share those with Silent Unity, and they also hold these prayer requests in their loving care for the next 30 days. And we just send out that healing energy and that awareness of healing unfolding in all of those in our community. We have several, including my daughter Jessica and Norma, I know, who are struggling with some viral stuff going around. And so we just see them moving through that easily and quickly. And for all of the other prayer requests, we lift them up. We just take a moment to infuse them in the awareness of God right in the midst, and that God is a God of wholeness. And we see each person claiming that wholeness and expressing that wholeness in all aspects of their life. We see each relationship, each body, each life being restored so that we can collectively express that out into the world. And so we just say thank you. Thank you, God. Amen. Beautiful. Thank you, Bob. You know, one of the things that I've learned in the 20 plus years I've been in ministry is you have to be flexible. And that's true for all of us. So we came in this morning, it's like, oh, we don't, Jessica normally does First Sunday music. And thankfully, Bob is ready to go with the flow and support us this morning, as we all are. So we spent the month of January exploring the traditional Christian lens, the theology, as well as looking at some alternative perspectives. And the lens in which we were looking at traditional Christianity was a very specific one, albeit the most common one, that humankind has been too darkened by our sin to be able to find our way back to God. So in order to be able to bridge that gap, that God sent Jesus, his son, to the earth to be a living sacrifice and to be the path in which we could be reconciled with the Creator. That is definitely a belief that is still pretty common in many. In fact, I was last Sunday before I came to church, I was watching the minister at First Baptist. I just happened to turn it on and listened for a few minutes, and he went on to tell everybody that was in the building and was watching that there was not 1 ounce of worth in any person anywhere on earth. That was his primary message that day. And so we better get right, because that's the only way that we'll get with God. But the truth is that Christianity has always encompassed a wide variety of beliefs and understandings about God, about Jesus, about others who came to help us to understand. It has been true around the world. It is still true today, and it has been true through time, through the past couple thousands of years. This month, we're starting a series that looks at the common threads with unity specifically throughout all of the world religions, to see how those very foundational ideas show up, not just in Christianity, but certainly across all of the major world religions. I know in the bulletin it just said Judaism, which I am going to also cover this morning, but I didn't want to, because we had such a narrow focus last month, I wanted to give you some other understandings about this. And by the way, the book that I'm using from Reverend Paul John Roach, who was the longtime minister at Unity of Fort Worth and has now produced this new lens and understanding of unity in world religions, has a wealth of information. Most I won't touch. If you like the history and if you like to understand things in a more in-depth way, I highly recommend it. And I'm grateful I can draw upon all the research he did. It saves me some time. So even in the very early, what we now know as Christian ministries, there were over 45 gospels, at least that many, as well as other writings and other poetry out there. And all of them had one thing in common. It's the commonality that we still have today, the question that we're trying to answer. Who was Jesus Christ, and what does he want us to do? Who was he in the context of relationship with God and humanity, and what are we supposed to do once we understand that information? As time went on, a few hundred years after the death of Jesus and the resurrection, there was a new church really solidifying. And in 325 AD, when they were deciding and had, first of all, made the decision that there should be some commonality amongst anybody who says that they're Christian, and they were deciding what that commonality should look like, only 4 of those more than 45 gospels were included in what we know as the New Testament today. They were what was chosen to shape that answer as far as the church was concerned. The interpretation of those questions has led to a myriad of diverse ideas and opinions and splits. The first one being what was called the Great Schism in 1025 AD, in which a group, especially the Eastern Orthodox Christians, split off with what has become known as the Catholic Church. It kind of began that identity in about 600 AD. 500 years after that, Martin Luther, you may have heard about him, was a huge force in another major split that happened with the Catholic Church, birthing what we now know today as Protestants, the Protestantism movement, Protestant churches. And today, there are over 3,000 main Christian denominations out there. So there's a lot of diversity in how people have answered this question. Who was Jesus? the Christ, and what is it that we're called to do as a result of that? Oftentimes, if you look historically, the struggles between the church and all of these different diverse opinions has really been about power and control. If we look at history, it wasn't always so much theology as it was consolidating power and control. At that time, certainly up until the Americas were born, there was no separation. The church was really the ruling entity in all of Europe and in some cases beyond. And there were differences of understanding. It was both. And while unity, as it birthed a new understanding and way to answer that question in the late 1800s, differs in its belief with many of the mainstream Western churches, especially because Western Christianity, which is all we really know because it's the part of the world we live in, is very different from how Eastern Christianity has changed and evolved over time. But much of the foundational principles that we embrace are, in fact, and can be traced back to ancient understandings, ancient mystical truths. The Christian intellectuals in Alexandria, Egypt, which is that eastern section of Christianity, emphasized the symbolic interpretation of Scripture. And they believe, and still in many cases believe today, that Jesus' incarnation demonstrated the possible union that we each have as human with this divinity. So it wasn't Jesus as the only one, but it demonstrated what was possible when we were willing to step into that. This thread runs through history, time, through monasteries, through mystics, through saints, and modern examples, and it's having a resurgence now, especially this centering prayer, this idea of contemplation and creating a space for that union with the divine, with people like Thomas Merton and one that we've used, Richard Rohr. We've explored many of his writings. Reverend Paul reminds us that there are a myriad of ways, as many views as there's a myriad of ways to seek out this union, to have this desire to connect with the divine. Some are attracted to the way of devotion, and like many of those who go into the monastery, their whole life becomes about devotion. Others seek out spiritual study and understanding, and still others are dedicated to being that love in action, have taken up the mantle of being Christ in the world where love is most needed. And yet, even with all these different paths, there are two overarching approaches that can be found in all world religions, not just Christianity, but in Judaism and in Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism. We're going to be looking at all of those. It got updated with a way to understand it by Matthew Fox, who is the author of the book Original Blessing. If you aren't familiar with that, that's another really good one if you want to explore this in more depth. And he referred to them as via positiva and via negativa. Via positiva is also known as cataphatic. That's another theological term. That's what it was called throughout the churches. And that path focuses on knowing God through positive affirmations. Sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? By continuing to look for and understand God to be love, God to be kindness, God to be forgiveness. It seeks union with God by focusing on the abundance, the beauty, the limitless possibilities, the wholeness, the oneness. It is what called people throughout time and in more modern Thoreau and his time in the woods, and Muir, who saw God in the vast beauty of nature in this world. That's where God could be found. We were filled up with this God. This is the path that, for many of you who have been around Unity for a while, is the one that we primarily choose as we are seeking God. The via negativa, or aphatic, is the practice of negation. So it's the other way. One is we're filling, the other is total surrender and letting go. Of letting go of any attempt to try and define God, to understand God in this realm that it is in the unknowable. So to let go of all of our concepts that we have about this mystery that we call God, and seek out the nothingness. This path is the one that is often followed in Buddhism. You know, when I first had my spiritual awakening, I grew up Presbyterian. For those of you who don't know, my father was a Presbyterian minister, and in my teenage wisdom, I said, this makes no sense to me at all. I'm done with that. And I lived, I guess, what I would call agnostic. I was busy. You know, it was life. It was fun. It was adulthood. And when I had an experience that told me there was something more, it set me on my journey to try and discover what that something more was. And Buddhism was the first stop for me. And I have to tell you, this idea of seeking out the nothingness, I just couldn't get it. I know many people do. But for me, it wasn't until I ultimately found unity, because that was the path that was most resonant with me. Both are valid paths. Both have the ability to take us to an experience of God. We just have to find the one that is right for us. St. John of the Cross describes it this way, this via negativia, because many of the saints followed this too. Richard Rohr is more of a surrender kind of guy, not a filler-upper, but a letting go and surrender as far as you can, your humanness and your understanding of the divine. He writes this, he says, in order to arrive at having pleasure in everything, desire to have pleasure in nothing. In order to arrive at possessing everything, desire to possess nothing. In order to arrive at knowing everything, desire to know nothing. That is the path. That is the thread in many of our world religions. As I said, we don't think that one is better than the other. I think each are valid for different humans that are on this path. And each may propel us further on our search for God. Each has its own blessing to do that. I've played a little bit more now with trying to go on this path of viva negativia. And I'm finding now that I've kind of gotten the fullness, it's a little easier to let it go. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but they're both an option to bring us closer to a deeper connection and understanding. So as we move into our meditation time today, and then I'm going to talk about Judaism after that, we're going to go the Via Positiva route, because that is the route that we're most familiar with. I would just invite you, as we take a moment, as we do each and every week, to not just listen and process and try and understand, but to be in the presence, to just kind of set aside everything. Perhaps close your eyes so that you can center all of your attention within. And we start by taking a few deep breaths. And in fact, in those breaths, try and let things go for just a moment so that we can have as much space available within our own beings to fill it with the love and the light, is how we often describe this creative energy within us. Imagine with me, if you will, that at the top of our heads, there is an opening. There is an energetic opening, which is the highest vibration that we can receive. And in that opening, the very energy of God is pouring forth. It's moving and sinking down through our head. It is infusing our throats, our shoulders, flowing down into our arms. We draw in another breath, and it draws that light, that love, that awareness of oneness even further down into our chest, into our heart, down even further, sinking down into all of the other organs that keep our human body operating at its optimal level. Another breath in, and draw that energy even further down into your body so it flows all the way down your legs, out the very soles of your feet. In fact, it even travels farther, grounding and anchoring us, nurturing us with the earth's energy. It's all God energy. Now feel that vibration of love infusing the thoughts that are moving through your mind right now. Every thought that we have now is transformed, opened to a way and a lens of seeing it through the eyes of God, through the eyes of the heart. And every emotion that is moving through our being is also transformed, is lifted up by this energy of love. Any worry or fear or doubt is now seeing through the eyes of the heart God's presence in the midst of every situation. And then we allow our spirits. We can feel that spiritual energy that we are, that soul that is the eternal part of us, immersed in this God energy. It brings us new ideas. It enlivens us to be a greater expression of what we know is our spiritual identity. Just rest in that for a moment. Breathe into it. Allow it. And as you begin to bring your attention back to this time and to this space, know that in any moment, you can allow the power of positive transformation to move in and through you simply by breathing, by visioning, by believing. We give thanks for the many ways we know that our light, God's light, will bless this planet. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring yourself. Oppression and freedom, not just of that people, but of many peoples through its time, and the bonds that get created within those people as they persevere through them. That has been as much of a thread amongst many different religious communities. It is the forming and the bonds of that community that were almost as important as the words and the teachings themselves. And it remains a central focus amongst the Jewish community. It speaks to the importance of a strong sense of spiritual and cultural and social bonding in order to be able to endure. We're going to get to that in just a minute. You can leave it up there, Nick, but I'm not quite there yet, because this is the levels of the Kabbalah, which is a whole nother mystical aspect of Judaism. You know, one of the challenges that we faced in unity, and we're only 125 years old, which was very young in terms of religious movements, is that we emphasize our own ability to have control over our personal development, to encourage and foster independent thought over blind dogma. I always say to you, you know, take what resonates with you, and if you disagree, then that's okay too. I'm not telling you what you should think, only to encourage and invite you to think. And while it's a beautiful way in order to give freedom, and there's a lot of freedom within unity, it doesn't necessarily always have the same positive effect on culture and community as those who are in the Jewish community, or those who are in a community that says this is the only way and we're all bonded by that one way. And even within Judaism, like Christianity, like many of the other world religions, it has many different understandings, and there's always been a thread of mysticism running through it. What today we know as the Kabbalah was the mystical side of the teaching for the Jewish people. It was a very select group for a period of time, and now in more recent decades, it's come to more popular awareness and has been opened up to anybody who seriously wants to study it. So the Kabbalah sees the creation and the understanding of the universe through what it calls the tree of life. So imagine there's kind of this is all the branches of the tree. And it, like unity, has different aspects to it. The 10 levels, where we have 12 powers, they have 10 levels, but they're very similar understanding. You know, it's wisdom, it's love, it's power, it's understanding. It's a whole myriad of things that as you move through each one of these levels, then you have a greater and greater awareness of God. Oh, is my mic not working? Okay. Sorry. All right. Are we here now? Okay. I did it wrong. I'm so sorry. I apologize to those people on the stream. I'm not going to go backwards, but we'll just move forwards here. You know, I have a feeling that Charles Fillmore, who studied many of the major religions, would pull pieces from, and we'll probably see them, from these different world religions that felt, and then maybe modify them a little bit. I think it's all one in the end. It's just different perspectives and understandings that support different people wherever they might be. But yes, harmony, knowledge, strength, life, they're all parts of this study system and practice system in Judaism. So there's many threads, common golden threads that run through all of it. We're going to continue to look at some of the other major religions in the upcoming weeks. But I want to leave you with something to ponder, to sit with, to let it kind of stir up in you and see how it feels, see how it resonates with you. And it's from a French philosopher. He was also a Jesuit priest. Those who studied philosophy like he's quite well known amongst those circles. And you know what? It's Tecart. Pierre Tecart. But he writes this. There's 3 different statements. One is going to sound very familiar if you've been around unity for any length of time, and this is where we get it from. So this is not new. It's not a unity phrase. It's one that we've borrowed. He writes this: "You are not a human being in search of a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being immersed in a human experience." He also says this, and this is the one, it just excites me so much because I think we can get there. It says, "Someday, after mastering the winds and the waves and the tides and gravity," and we're getting closer and closer to that place, "we shall harness for God the energies of love. And then, for the second time in history, man will have discovered fire." Bless you as you move and live and express this in this week to come. And Bob's gonna give us some special music today. Thank you, Bob, for that. Thank you for that. Well, it is our opportunity in the service now to share of our financial good. We don't have a mother church that supports us. Each community gets to tap into that universal abundance, and we know that there's always enough, and we just affirm and are grateful for the many channels in which we receive our good. And you are certainly one of them, and we know that good comes from all known and unknown places into our lives. So let us take what we are offering today into our hearts, into our hands, as we join and bless it together. Excuse me, Sherry. Sorry. All right. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother God.
Good morning, everyone. If you're watching us for the first time, we're glad you've chosen to join us. We invite you to visit our website and fill out the Connect card. And if you're local, we invite you to visit in person. If you're visiting us in person for the first time, and man, oh man, maybe we need to have a freeze every week, because look at all the people. Please complete a visitor card found in the pew pocket in front of you or at the visitor desk in the lobby, and drop it in the box at the back of the sanctuary on your way out. Today's appreciation, we're having a chili cook-off, and my stomach is growling, and it's hot in here from all the chili I tasted back there. We're having a fundraiser for the church and a good, tasty time for all. We have Barbara Luders to thank for this idea. Barbara has a deep commitment to the Center of Unity and a huge sense of fun, and you couldn't have a better friend. The Cork group she started a number of years ago is still thriving today with activities that everyone can enjoy. So Barbara, for your creativity and your desire to give your spiritual family some playtime, we love you. We bless you. We truly appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. Namaste. And now for our weekly announcements.
Here's what's coming up at Center of Unity. Sign up for the Committed Giving program and get a $25 gift card to the restaurant of your choice. You can sign up for any amount and you can cancel whenever you'd like. Please see Mary Salerno to sign up. Be sure to join us in Fellowship Hall after service to taste and judge our chili cook-off fundraiser. The entry fee is $5 per person or $10 per family. So come on out and support your church and taste some of the best chili ever made. A care team member will be in the prayer room after service for 15 minutes to support you in prayer. Prayer room is located on the right side of the sanctuary. Join Reverend Linda every Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. for the Metaphysical Bible Interpretation class, where we refocus our attention on the good that God is making available to us now. Each class is self-contained. The Zoom ID is on the screen, or you can access it from our website or the COU app. There are multiple ways you can make a donation to Center of Unity. You can drop your donation off at the church, mail it to our P.O. Box, visit our website, or use the COU or Venmo app. Your continued support is greatly appreciated.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all of you joining us. We look forward to seeing each and every one of you back next week. Bob, let's bring our kids in, shall we? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, well, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Good morning, everybody. You all hungry? Yeah. Okay, so today we started with the new movie, The Empire Strikes Back, and I have a few who want to share what they learned today.
We learned about faith. Today we made a puzzle. We learned about heart math. Don't judge a book by its cover.
All right, that's it. Okay.
All right. What do you all stand up together? We'll join hands and let us do our peace song together.
Go into this day ready to start a new fire for love. We go knowing our prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yay!